if they want to have 3 minutes of public testimony, then they call and prearrange that with me
Okay,
so that I can call them during when it's their time,
that
and
makes sense.
then they can talk through my computer.
Perfect. That's awesome.
I'm gonna go post the link on the Facebook page.
There's Andrew now.
Oh, okay, I was just about to text her. Hi, Amy.
Hello. I gotta round up my dog quick.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ms. Brown.
I'm wearing my stream gear.
Good morning, Mrs. Beyondich.
Ooh.
Yeah, what Whitney said.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, and this, handing it to you.
You.
I'm like, right here, yeah.
You're actually
Not anywhere near you.
your kitty corner from me. You'd have to hand it
Yeah,
Up.
for me, I have to hand it up here.
the other corner.
Okay, here you go.
Thanks. It's hilarious for me.
We did. I don't know if people here know this, but we had to do a like introduction or a welcome video to a PD for our principal certification program, and so we did it on Zoom. And we did it together. So we were like passing things back and forth through the video. There were ridiculous items. It was pretty funny. So we were going to try to reenact that, but positioning doesn't really work out.
I recently saw a video, and I don't know, it was involved a paintbrush or a makeup brush, and girls were throwing it to each other, and when they got it, then they'd put it over the camera, and when they took it off, then they'd be in their regalia from their tribe, and they'd pass it to the next kid who would catch it, brush the screen. When they took it away, they'd be in their regalia from their tribe. It was really cool.
That is super cool. I like that idea. I have no idea how to do that, but I like that.
A lot of editing, I think.
Yeah.
You're muted.
There's two of them that I've seen. One that's from the lower 48 and one from local, because my girlfriend's daughter and granddaughter are in it.
Oh, very cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's
It is.
awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your help, Whitney.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it like this, Sylvia? No.
Not quite.
Okay.
Amy, how big is that dog of yours now? Was that like a year ago?
She's we got her in at the end of October, so
Oh,
beginning
God.
of November.
Yeah, time,
Um,
something I can't keep track of anymore.
No, definitely not. I checked the mail on Sunday and I was like, oh, it's Sunday. There's no mail.
Right.
She's about 50 pounds.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, we think she's gonna get probably at least 80 or 90 pounds after she's all done. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's fun.
Nice.
She's been great company.
Yeah.
Yes. Aren't they?
Gets you
Oh,
outside
mine
all the
too.
time, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whitney and Andronell, do you remember what year it was when you first were looking across each other at the table and said, we should start a school?
You're muted, Andrew, now. It was Andrew Nell before. It was Andrew Nell and Scott McKim that originally looked across the gym. at a pep assembly, right?
It was in the multi-purpose room at some event I brought my band kids to. It was the 2010, 2011 school year.
And
That's
then I
pretty-
joined 2000, like winter 2011, early 2012. I know because that's when Cora was born.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I remember. I remember
Yeah.
when Cora was born.
yep, she's come to a lot of APC meetings before it was an APC.
Yeah.
I asked Sylvia that yesterday. I was like, what year did this all start? Because I remember Whitney looking at me and being like, we're going to start a school. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yep, that's what I said.
You
They
were
talked
right.
to me about it.
It is a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
You were accurate.
I know. It's like, can't be that hard. I'm like, actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is hard.
You guys are approaching the 10-year anniversary.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Huh.
I know. Look at all these. Hi, Howard. Hi, Lily.
Hi, Howard.
Hi, Melissa.
Good morning, everybody.
Charlie and Charlie. I can't see.
Hey, good morning.
yeah,
Sorry, I
good
don't have a
morning.
camera.
Okay, I think we're gonna officially get started. So for what it's worth, you're all being broadcast live over the internet.
Wow.
We have set up Zoom so that it broadcasts over a YouTube channel. And that's nice because anybody out there, parents who want to be more passive observers of the morning coffee, can just watch it on YouTube. They don't have to get on Zoom. But it's really important because our APC meetings are public meetings. And for us to do those meetings on Zoom and to do them by distance, they really need to be accessible to the public. So we've been piloting, testing out, using the morning coffee meetings to test out the YouTube channel. And Sylvia and I have had some private Zoom tests that have been pretty funny, trying to test the YouTube channel and getting other people in our households to go log on and check YouTube. But so we're out there live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you all made it on. The morning coffees have been really nice. It's been really nice having parents and having staff and people join in. I'm not going to have a whole lot this morning to talk about because we're starting to. So for the parents that are on, we're starting to look for some more specific topics now that we've gotten into our coffee series and had a few of them. And so just instead of just general updates and general questions, which are always welcome, a big part of this is just for us to be here to answer questions for parents. But in addition to that, we're working to have a guest presenter or guest presenters come on and talk about specific topics that are pertinent to Stream. So today, our guest presenters, we asked two of our APC members who are actually founders of our school, actually original founders, to come on and talk about the APC. And we also have a third APC member, Miss Yip, who's actually the president of our APC, or the chair of our APC, on with us. So
Not prepared to talk.
And Charlie. Charlie's here too.
Oh, sorry. Yep. So we have 5 APC members on it. So that's awesome because Sylvia's on the APC as well. But our official guest speakers are Whitney Diatri and Andranelle Brown. They are APC members and they are founders. And we just thought they could talk about anything from the conversation that was just happening, before we officially started, kind of how the school got started, to how the APC works and really why it's important for parents to know that and to engage. So I will turn it over to Whitney and Andranelle, and thank you so much for being here and being willing to share a little bit about the APC.
Great. Thank you.
Andranelle, do you want to do like origin story and I'll.
Sure. I'll do short origin story.
Okay.
So the whole thing started with that there were a few of us who were working at a large middle school in the area, and the genesis sentence was actually Scott McKim, who was teaching applied tech, and I had taken my band elective class down to an assembly that happened very often at the school. And he asked me what class I brought down there. I said, "Oh, my band class." And he just looked at me. He's like, "Well, you trying to learn how to teach everything so you can start your own school?" And I was like, "Yes, actually." And he's like, "Me too." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Don't you think every teacher wants to start a school?" I was like, "No. Do you know how much work that is?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's a good point." I said, "Well, let's continue this conversation." And we did. And we brought on Scott Cleaver. 3 of us met, realized quickly it was a ton of work, and then realized we needed to bring a lot more people with their expertise to the table, which has looked a variety of ways over the years. And we found that we created what we called the G6. That was a big thing in the news at the time. So the 6 of us, we picked 3 other people that we felt we could work well with, that brought a lot of expertise and passion to it, and some stick-to-itiveness. And we sat down, 3 of us sat in a Kaladi Brothers over a summer and drafted and redrafted and co-wrote the charter and did a bunch of dreaming, and it was a lot of fun. And then it came time when they approved the charter, and we were like, "Oh, okay, yay, first step." And we often made the analogy of having a baby. We're like, "Oh, okay, wow, this thing's ready to come into the world." And then we need a building and a principal, and then those things happened in reverse order, or about the same order. And then we sent our baby off to school, which was terrifying, because I don't think that we ever actually said it explicitly like this. We were putting our professional reputations on the line with this thing that we're handing off to other people to do. Interestingly enough, only one of the people who started the school actually ended up working there for a variety of reasons. That's the way life goes. And then we handed it off to these people who just took this idea and added their magic to it and made it beyond what we had even envisioned that it would be. So, so very, very proud to be affiliated with Stream, and I imagine that that's going to continue to be the case for a very, very long time. So, start there.
I joined in that G6 realm. And I'm just going to dive into APC stuff, but one of the unique things about charter schools is that they have a governing board over the top of it. So that's called the Academic Policy Committee. We have a really hard time saying committee versus board, so we're just one and the same. But essentially it's this group of people, which can be community members, staff members, parents. Most APCs are made up almost all of parents. Stream is a bit unique from what I can tell, that there's a lot of community members on the Stream APC. But essentially the Stream APC is Mr. McKelkey's boss, in a rudimentary sense, but kind of overseeing the job of the APC is just to make sure that the vision and the charter are true in the reality of the day-to-day of Stream. And one of the huge perks of being an APC member is getting to hear about the magic that happens at Stream all the time. So, I am not in the building. I know a few of the kids, but I don't necessarily, I haven't seen all of the magic in action. So it's really cool for me to get to hear about it, especially through the staff liaison. And then, Adam gives us reports every time. And then really the big decisions that the APC makes is about, hiring a principal and then kind of overseeing a budget that he presents to us, and then making, kind of monetary decisions and kind of the big vision charter alignment decisions, all the day-to-day, all the hiring, all the logistics. That's all Adam. That's his magic. But we just get to hear about it. So it's, I think that's actually one of the things I love about the APC is that it is made up of educators and community members and people that just really love the outdoors and love Alaska. And weirdly enough, love middle school kids. And it's a unique group of people that can find the joy in middle school. And that I find that those are the people I want to surround myself with. So I think, one of as this school grows, which it is, which is great, we're finding ourselves as APC members feeling the need to become more formal because our current status is fairly informal. But I also think that's part of what makes us an effective group. I'm sure we'll hit the road at some point where we're really going to have to follow bylaws to a T in the Robert Rules of Order and, be very official. But at this point, I feel like APC meetings are fun, weirdly, and there's food. And I get to talk to people who are really cool. So, and we get to talk about stream. So, those are pretty exciting things. But we're always looking for more people to be on the APC and to get a variety of perspectives. Because as challenging as that can be to have a big group with a lot of different ideas and different ways of thinking how things should go, I think the product, when you have a variety like that, is always better than if you had just like-minded people. So you're, leaning into that official formalness in order to come out with the best decisions possible for the kids at Stream, I think is something that we're always, if you're joining the APC, it's because you love the kids at Stream and you want to see success.
So to continue that analogy of having this child that we sent off into the world, it's now like they're all out of the house, and we have a little bit of we're ready to move on and sort of move away from that. Survival is good, and now we're taking it to the next level of getting ourselves organized around adding more board members. We do have rules in our bylaws that board members need to be in good standing for a year before they can be an officer. And we're at the phase where the people who started this are starting to phase out. And then we're also at that point where we need some more structure, getting organized around organizing events, volunteering, and some fundraising. And we are definitely looking for some new energy in those arenas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's kind of been our, oh, sorry, Adam. One more thing. That's been our big push lately. We just created recreated a 501c3, which is essentially the fundraising arm of Stream. And that's where like all of the events, and not all, but most of the events and volunteer opportunities that involve, money, or even, it's still kind of in its infancy. So we're developing what that 501c3 is really going to do to support Stream. But it has that fundraising capability with the, tax ID. And so that's actually, I think, where we're really looking for recruitment, and not necessarily to be on the board. I mean, that's always welcome. Right. But to definitely be, I think what we're really, really wanting is like a volunteer coordinator is kind of where we're landing, where we need someone to be the point of contact for parents to coordinate then with Sylvia to be able to find out what the skill sets are of everybody and where, and how much they want to help and where they could fit in and what the events are that are going on, and how to to have one person who's sort of doing that. And right now that person is Sylvia, and that's a lot of extra for her to handle. So that's kind of our big push right now, is that we're really hoping some parents will be really excited about their kid being in Stream and will want to kind of be, just that point of contact. Doesn't mean you have to do all the things, but to be that, that person that can just be the, the coordinator essentially. Adam, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm gonna chime in after you guys shared all your awesome stuff. I think one of the things that's fascinating to me about an APC, all charter schools are set up this way, that they have an APC, which is really, it's a school board. And that's the piece that fascinates me, that I don't think people really realize how much authority and significance an APC has. The best analogy, the closest analogy I can give in public education is it's very similar to a school board and superintendent relationship. Our APC, Whitney said it very nicely, that the APC is my boss. The APC evaluates me and decides, whether to hire and whether to not retain a principal. So, I mean, to put it really, really bluntly, the APC can choose to move on from a principal. That's their choice. That's not ASD's choice. And that's a significant level of authority. The other thing that, the significance is, one of the huge benefits of being a charter school is almost full control over your funds. So in a regular neighborhood school, you're allocated certain amount of funding, and you're allocated how much staffing you can have in each position. The APC and I almost entirely make those decisions. We decide how many teachers and what our pupil teacher ratio is, and what other staffing, and how we allocate and spend our funds. It's far, far more control than a neighborhood school. Again, it's very similar to what the superintendent and the school board does. And just to give you the perspective of that, it's almost a $2 million budget that we set every year. This year is about $1.9 million. And so we've been able to, for example, allocate our funds in a way that puts more emphasis on a smaller classroom size and smaller pupil teacher ratio. We're able to do that because we're able to budget other things in other ways. So those are APC approves that budget, and they're my boss. Those are pretty significant authority roles that the APC has. And I don't know that people always realize that each of the charter APCs has that really, impactful level of authority. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty neat operation. And they're a good boss. They're really good to me.
So food, scintillating, quasi Robert's rules of order, authority over Adam, prep for your political career, and hang out with us once a month, and do some great stuff to help Stream continue to be awesome. I will say it has truly been a joy. I interviewed Adam as part of one of my projects for a program I'm in right now around the vision of the school. And he wasn't doing it just because I was interviewing him about the mission. Like, Adam lives, breathes, it sweats the mission and the vision of the school, which makes it really a joy to watch, because I don't think it happens very often. It seems pretty obvious what the mission of a school should be, but it's not always the case. And Adam really holds true to it. Tigger has something she'd like to say.
Hello. Can you speak a little bit more about that mission and vision? That was the part, I mean, although the information you've given has been wildly interesting, going in depth into APC. What exactly is the mission and vision of the school? And that original vision, like, what was that prompting thought? Like you talked about that the genesis of the conversation. What exactly were you guys were envisioning, in that Genesis conversation?
Yeah, thank you. It came from a couple of places. One was that, and we love that school. Like, I'm looking at many faces on this screen that I worked with at that school. Still love that school. It's had its challenges, but it was a great genesis for myself in my career. But part of what it came from is that we would take kids, trying to organize field trips and getting kids outdoors in a school that size was virtually impossible. It was
Yes.
essentially 3 schools in one building. The scheduling was crazy. And so essentially it would happen once a year. And I remember very distinctly, we took kids out to where was out there, that camp.
Birchwood?
Yeah, out in Birchwood. And we were, whatever. They're playing around the woods, throwing rocks at each other. And these kids came back from walking a 1 mile loop around a lake, flat loop around a lake. And they came running up to me like, Miss Brown, I just went out. I'd never been on a hike before. And I was like, oh, honey, you still haven't been on a hike. Or they would go on the Planet bike ride, which our science teacher would do every spring. And they would get out to Kincaid Park and they'd be like, this is the farthest we've ever been from home. Or the kid in summer school is like, we're going to go hike on a mountain. We took them up to Arctic Valley. They're like, I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, will you let me know when I've never been on a mountain. Like, dude, you can throw rocks at the mountain from your backyard. Like, how have you never been on a mountain? And we were just like, that's not okay. It's not okay for mental health and for kids to be growing up in Alaska and not having the opportunities to get out there. And then combine that with that middle school development where we're like, really less sitting, more moving your body is healthier for everybody, for them in the short term and for our whole society in the long term, making sure that they're getting all those things to be fully developed. And then throw on there, let's do some project-based learning where get our hands dirty in what's really happening in the world. The original project idea that sort of got us really excited was thinking sixth graders would study the flora of a stream system. The 7th graders would study the fauna, and then the 8th graders would study the chemistry of a stream and then build up reports and actually present that in the real world, to the Waterways Council or even to the municipality. So, and then from there, we're like, the possibilities are endless as you guys are discovering and diving into, so.
Mm-hmm. Just to add to that project part, the middle school model is something that a lot of the founders really believe in. And as much as ASD tries, they're not necessarily doing it to fidelity. So it was frustrating because Cleaver and I were on a team. Scott Cleaver and I were on a team together for, basically my whole career, half of his career because he's old. But
Watch it.
had to get a dig even while he's not here. But he and our team would do the fun of our team was, and Gail,
I was on that team too.
Was the projects, every quarter, at least once a quarter, we would try to do projects, and the amount of scheduling and logistics within the building that we had to do just to coordinate with other teams to be able to actually get all our kids together so that they could participate in this project together was crazy. And we're like, it should not be this hard to do something that is gonna excel all of these students in a way, they're gonna leave middle school and they're gonna be like, I don't know what I did in math class. I don't know what I did in science class. I don't know what I learned in gym. But you know what I remember? The island project. You know what I remember? Making a mask where I was my face was covered for 5 minutes or 15. But that was those projects where they had to work together and they had to think outside the box, and they were relating what they're doing in school, and it didn't feel like school. They were excited about it and they could infuse their passion and their interest, and that we just felt like we were, the more regulations in the traditional model were they were dampening that possibility, and it was getting really frustrating. And so our projects ended up being units, and that's not, that's right, but that was how it was in the traditional model. We're like, wouldn't it be so cool if the project is really what drove the stuff? If the project is what drove everything, because then you could, then possibilities are limitless. And they're still middle school kids, so you can't be all crazy, but middle school kids are amazing and they do all kinds of things you didn't expect. blow you out of the water sometimes. So I know that was a big part of, one of those other meanings that we really wanted to see come out of Stream, that project, those things that kids are going to remember, even through all their hormonal brain changing, they're going to remember those projects and those experiences.
Well, I was on the team that you were on and when we did the projects, and the beautiful part about that was kids who had IEPs and kids who were English as a second language, they were as much included as the highly gifted to the regular kids, and everyone was learning, everyone was growing, and everyone felt a part of something, and that was really important. So it's nice to see that that has carried over to Stream. Whereas we have kids who are doing projects no matter what their academic level is.
That's something I'm really proud of, Gail. Thanks for mentioning that. I know a lot of my conversations about what project-based learning would look like and how to structure that were conversations with Scott Cleaver and with Whitney, where they talked about when we did this project, they're talking about their team when they worked together and how they did projects. And that helped us early on to really kind of wrap our heads around and conceptualize how we were going to do projects. I think it's worth noting, like for parents, why we do Wednesday the way we do it, why we have early release Wednesday and Wednesday's a project day, relates directly to what Whitney was explaining and what Whitney and Gail are talking about. That we have a day where kids aren't scheduled in their core classes, where teachers have full autonomy and flexibility. And we're at a point as a school, I'm really proud of the fact that I don't dictate or schedule or drive what teachers do on Wednesday. Pretty much not at all anymore. Teachers tell me what they're doing on Wednesday. That's entirely decided by the project level teams. And now we're at the point in our, end of our fourth year where I'm just trying to keep up with what they're doing. Whereas in the first year, Megan can attest to, it was more of all right, what are we doing on Wednesday, and kind of structuring that. But it's really, I think, still true to that original vision they had, that our founders had, of how to do this right. It's important that, I think, part of what Whitney's talking about is in traditional school, the schedule, if you know the term, the tail wagging the dog, the schedule is the tail that wags the dog. The schedule drives and dictates everything. And we still come up against that because we still have traditional core courses scheduled, but we've been able to, even within the core course structure, we've been able to work around that and allow for that flexibility. I know I had a moment at some point this year where Miss Goodman and Miss Smith came to me with a request for our regular schedule that I originally said, no, that's really hard to do. And I would have to rework an entire portion of the schedule and put a lot of work into that. And I'm not going to do that. And then I sort of, when I reflected on that, I kind of went, the reason they were asking, and this is really the important part, the reason they were asking was specifically because of what Whitney's talking about. It was project-based learning. It was to get kids grouped in a way that they could do projects across their core content classes, not just on the Wednesday. They needed me to make some significant flipping things around, changing things in the schedule. So I did that. I went to work on that. And after originally saying, no, I'm not going to rearrange the whole schedule, I went, this is mission vision. And so I did rearrange the schedule so that they could better implement project-based learning for eighth graders. And proud of the fact that we can still do that we still work really hard to not let the tail wag the dog that way. And just one more thing, and I'll be quiet again. Back to what Gail was saying about inclusiveness. I'm so proud of the inclusiveness our school has for special education and students with disabilities and students with different struggles, that we don't have a special program or divided up. Like all of our kids do what we do. And when incoming parents ask about the gifted program, and I just say we don't really do that because our whole program is that. We don't believe that you have to have a certain test score or be in a certain set to do the special things that you do in a gifted program. All of our kids do those things. And if you look at what's in those programs in regular schools, it's what all of our kids do. it's field trips and guest speakers and project-based learning and hands-on things. It's engineering challenges, it's robotics. All of our kids do those things, and we're super proud of that. So it's interesting to see how where we are now philosophically really does tie back to the original mission and vision.
Emily, you said you had another question?
Yeah, and that's actually a great jumping point. So I was wondering about the vision going forward, and Mr. McKelkey mentioned Ms. Goodman and my idea. But just hearing from the founders, where do you see this going? So for example, you mentioned that the founders, for various reasons, were unable to join the staff. So one kind of thing that the staff kind of like wishes we had that touchstone on is a founder. And we had that last year with Mr. Cleaver, which was great. And then we have touchstones with going to the APC meetings and then hearing from you at times. So where do you see this going? You know, pointing the needle. So for example, that great vision that you were talking about originally, of course, we couldn't immediately have happen, because one of the things that we have to make that happen is a staff who knows each other. Like Whitney, you talked about working with Cleaver for so long. And when you have that kind of basis of a staff knowing each other so well, we can make those projects happen and great. And we're starting to get to that point, which is really exciting. So this is a great time to just hear from you guys about, you know, where are we going, and where do you see this potentially going?
So part of the, well, let me back up. When we were in the approval process, I remember one of the things that the sitting superintendent, Ed Graff, said. He was like, all students in ASD are ASD students. So it's one of the things that charter schools in Alaska are a little bit different than those in the lower 48, which they all have to be approved by the sitting governing school district. So he said that really stood out to me. All students are ASD students. And the other thing he said was, this is amazing. And this is probably, he's like, who knows, this might be how we want to educate all of our students going forward. So this idea, like STREAM was sort of on the forefront. The letters are capitalized differently to highlight the STEM part of it. When, 10 years ago, STEM wasn't as integrated into everything, everywhere you turn around, the way that it is now. And what that meant was that we didn't know what we were doing. We just had this idea of, like, we could see what was happening. We'd never really done it in the way that we had envisioned. And so, but we knew we needed to have set up the structures to make it possible. There are still some limiting structures. The state says you have to have so many hours in each of these core classes each week in order to meet the legal guidelines of being called a school, which is something that in the lower 48, I think they have a little bit more leeway with, if they can, right, they're slightly less under the umbrella of state mandates, but we still have a lot of flexibility. And one of the great things that Adam does really well is looks at the big picture, is always thinking mission, vision, and is always trying to do what is best for kids and putting that first. And so we have all that to say, we've been on the forefront. And part of the reason why the APC has agreed to invest money in Dr. Sturm is that she has experience with the Buck Institute and what that gold standard, or really the true pioneers of project-based learning, look like. So working with her, helping to develop the vision of that and getting people more comfortable, because none of us really were taught this way. And I mean, I certainly wasn't taught that way. And I didn't teach this way when I was in the classroom, because it's with all of the structural challenges that made it tough. And so it takes that leap of faith to be like, I'm suddenly less the person giving the directions and walking you through it, and more the, oh, good, here you go, kind of in a good luck sort of way. I'm right here, that guide on the side, which is a little bit terrifying, because suddenly your role doesn't look like, you as the adult in the room doesn't look the way that it has looked your entire educational career. And that can be very, very uncomfortable. So I know one of the things that we're talking about is like, how can we support staff to keep moving in that direction? Huge, huge growth. And I'm working with 2 other schools who are also trying to do this. And I can tell you, in a way, here's Stream and here are the other schools. One of them has been trying to do it for a long time, but I'll be honest, the vision and mission isn't as clear and as focused and and held out in front as the reminder for every decision that is made. So, and then the other one is working with a group of kids who traditional school has not worked for them at all. And interestingly enough, right now in the midst of this, when people are talking about kids aren't showing up to meetings, they're not doing a lot of work because it's not required, that group, the project-based group at that school, are the ones who are showing up and doing work. So we know that this is powerful. So that's really where our thinking is. Like we talk about, we're spending a fair amount. The work that Dr. Sturm does is work that Whitney and I could certainly do, except that we don't have the time or the space in our world right now to do it. But when she comes and talks, we're like, yes, that's what we're talking about. She could have been the G7 of the Gs, of the OGs. I'm done.
And Emily, Tigger, one of the other things that you kind of mentioned in your question that struck me is that that I know Andronelle and I know Adam too, really value is that relationship between colleagues, right? Like the projects are successful because everybody on the staff team knows what they have to offer and can work together and can create amazing things. I mean, I think part of our vision is that the teachers really are the ones who know their students and know what they want to try and have ideas for how to make it come alive, and sometimes just know, okay, if I just pose this one question, the kids are going to make it come alive. And so I think for us, I think that's one of the major pieces that I'm always listening for as an APC member, and that I hope I would see walking into the building, is that collaboration, like that adult collaboration, and the time, especially that's part of that mission vision of that Wednesday afternoon, where it takes a lot of work and effort and time for teachers to build projects well and to feel like they're not behind, to have that time to sit together, to be able to plan and brainstorm and prep, and not just once a month, but like every week. And that's probably not enough either. So it's, it takes so much coordination to do it well, and for teachers to feel like they're doing it well. And so that was, I know that to us as founders is sacred time. Like that project planning, that project collaboration of just the adults on the back end, the design end is sacred. And we're, that's something that we're also always really mindful of listening for in the APC meetings is, okay, are teachers having enough time to plan and do this, what we're asking them to do well? So it's kind of, I mean, I don't know if we really answered your question, but I know we're sticking with that same mission vision, but kind of to keep with the kid metaphor, right? Like kind of seeing what the school comes up with, seeing the personality that blossoms out of this school that doesn't need to come from us necessarily. That bit of independence that, because we have the staff at Stream is like upper echelon, like that. We are so blessed and lucky to have the staff that we do at Stream and the principal that we do at Stream. I mean, like that is a huge part, I think, of why Stream is succeeding right now, is because of you guys. I mean, the people that are doing all the work. It's awesome. It is awesome to see, and super humbled that people are willing to jump into someone else's idea and run with it and do go far beyond, even now in 4 years, right? Like what we thought was possible. So really, that's a kudos to all of you guys. Sylvia, I saw you had.
Yeah, Charlie Palmer would like to ask a question now.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. No, I just wanted to commend Stream for taking on some of the GIS efforts lately. And in talking about moving forward in the future, I think there are, Ms. Goodman Allwright, for example, is kind of leading the effort of taking GIS on at Stream. And it's sort of something I can see developing even further in the future. And I'm happy to help with that and be a part of that. If you just use Google Scholar and look at project-based learning and GIS, you will find thousands of articles on it. So it's really connected and really important. And I'm glad to see that it's taking off the way it is. So thank you for that.
Here, go, Miss Goodman. And thank you, Charlie, for being involved with that.
Yeah, Whitney and I have talked a number of times, especially the inaugural hires into Stream, many of whom it was their first job. And Whitney and I were like, you know, we're 6, 7, 8 years in at that point into our own careers. And we were like, oh, man, bless these teachers' hearts. Like, it's hard enough being a first-year teacher, and they're going to do it at a brand new school. And thank God we found Adam and he found us, because I don't think it would have happened if it had been anybody else at the helm, honestly. I couldn't have taken clay and molded the own person to put in that position. So don't be getting lazy, McKelkey. Your evaluation hasn't been done yet this year.
There's always new challenges ahead of me. There's always stuff to keep me going. Our biggest challenge that's always on, the back of my mind, and that is always on the horizon, is we have a really great relationship with Wayland Baptist University, and the lease agreement we have for that building, allowed us to open the school, allowed us to start. I don't know, just in terms of like backstory, I don't know if how many people know that one of the things that delayed the opening of the school was facility, because part of what's written in our charter, and so what's in our charter that's law for us. We follow what's written in our charter that's been approved by the school district in the state of Alaska. So that's like our guiding, the guiding document on everything we do. Part of what's written in our charter is not just that we'll be a charter school in Anchorage School District, but that we will be a charter school in East Anchorage, where there are less charters and optional programs and opportunities than there are in other places and other areas. And so East Anchorage, as defined by if you're zoned for Bartlett or East High, basically, right? And so there were other buildings available, but not in East Anchorage. And it took a while until they were able to secure the Wayland building. So we're very fortunate to have that spot, and it's a good spot for us. We're limited. We can't grow much more than where we're at now, and we would like to be a school of 300 students at our apex, and we'd like to have our own facility. So if nothing else, like I've always got these other big driving, what's next things out there for us.
And I also want to say, we get a lot of praise to Adam, in part because he's the face that we interact with a ton. Yeah. But I was thinking again, especially the first hires, like, yes, Adam holds the vision, has done a great job, but he has an amazing right-hand woman that I wish I could clone her and steal her and put her in every school. Megan Gatlin is the organizing queen, the genius behind like that calm current that is under everything, that it just, she's amazing. And then I'm looking, Sylvia she bought a house because she wanted her children to go to a specific school, and then she wanted, true story, and then she wanted to come and work at Stream. It was a huge growth leap for her. Howard to leave something that was very comfortable for him to come take on this crazy mess of it. I mean, not a mess of a thing, but like this completely different thing, and even Gail, who like in retirement came back. I'm like, who are these people? And then Amy, that worked at the Bartlett, and her husband worked at that school together. And I was super thrilled. They're like, hey, do you know this? Adam texted me. He's like, what do you know about Amy? I'm like, why? Like, they're thinking about coming back. I'm like, oh my God, yes, please, yes. So very excited. I just, and I think Laura Ashley, like I don't know if manifest is really the word I want, but it's the one that I have this morning with just one cup of coffee. But the people that were drawn to this and who were willing to take the risk to make it happen, I'm truly humbled and honored by that. And then the families who trusted this group of people in this brand new endeavor, that especially that first year, but even these first 4 years, right? Those are the ones that make or break a program. And we couldn't we can have all the planning and vision in the world and hire the most amazing people, but if nobody will let their children go there, then it's for nothing. So continue to be humbled and honored, and as close as I'll ever be to feeling what it is like to have a parent. I mean, to be a parent and have a child that you're incredibly proud of. And I wasn't going to cry. I don't know why I thought that was going to be a thing, but just super incredibly proud. So.
Yeah, thanks, Andronell. I echo that. Our staff is so incredible, and we couldn't do this with, another one of the great benefits of opening a charter school is we got to handpick every single person that works at Stream. Of the 6 people that I hired after I was hired, 4 of those people are still on staff, going into 5 years later. And one of the 6 that isn't with us left because of a major medical issue that really forced her to leave. Otherwise, I have no doubt she'd still be with us. So, and those founding teachers have been so instrumental. And then each year we've been able to expand and grow and add new people. And really, it's really important to us that we pick the very best people, the very best fits. And so I've had the luxury of not having to, not worrying about how much experience you have teaching or, other traditional credentials and resume things. And really what we look for are people who are innovative and creative and love kids and have experience and passion with, project-based learning. And so we've often hired, and I'll just say it, we have often hired people with far less experience than some of the other applicants, with far less shiny of a resume, and we've been right every time. Laura Ashley and Terry Drager, Miss Kodelman and Miss Drager were first-year teachers when I hired them. But I mean, come on, you can't find better teachers. You can't. Like, I'll take them over anybody with 25 years experience any day of the week. And then each year when we've been able to add to our staff, we've had sometimes 20, 30 applicants and gone through and we waited. Like Amy is a good example, because we just were committed to waiting until we found the perfect fit, somebody who really fit, who we could immediately see was going to be a part of our, fit in our culture and climate. And bam, then that person appeared and we hired them. So we're so lucky. We have such an incredible staff at Stream. And that's really the huge piece of what makes all this go and what makes all this work. There's nothing I could do to make this all come to life and make this all awesome if I didn't have awesome teachers.
Okay. Well, this has been a love fest this morning.
Yeah. Just like an APC, but with lots more motions and secondings and figuring out if we discuss or vote yet.
Right.
I want to say to any of the parents that are listening and tuned in specifically because we were talking APC, we've never had a parent join the APC who was like, yeah, I'm totally confident that I know how this should go and I should be on the APC. And so it has always been a parent who is interested and conscientious and cared about the school and shown some interest just in being involved and supportive. And it's always been us saying, you should consider being on the APC. And it's always been, that parent has always been, well, I don't know about school governance. I don't know if I'm qualified for that. And we say, yes, you are, you're a parent. And that is the first qualification that definitely, and 2, you care. 3, you're interested and you're looking to, to be a servant to the school like we are. So just know, if you're a parent out there, either on a YouTube or someone that logged in today, and you're at all interested in APC positions, the APC has to have parents on it to balance and to keep us moving and, keep us really grounded in what is happening with families and kids. And no parent has ever yet said, like, come to us and said, I want to be on the APC. I think I'd be awesome at it. And I know all, what I'm doing. It has always been, people who are a little hesitant and us saying, you're a parent and you care, so you're qualified. So just know that there's no magical qualification, or, the parents who are on there can probably, speak to that. So we'd love to have parents involved and to continue to be involved. We'd love to have parents thinking about, jumping in on those seats the next time they're open.
Even in the very beginning, I don't think even before we had a principal and a building, when the G6 approached me, I was kind of hanging on the periphery, and they said, come in, help us. And I was like, what do I have to offer? I don't know what I have to offer because I'm not a teacher. No, you have the perspective of a parent for children that are in the Anchorage School District. And what value, they just validated the value that I had with the knowledge that I had, which had nothing to do with school and teaching, but that had to do with parenting, that maybe a perspective that they didn't have. And so I think it's important to know that we all have resources in us and experiences in us that make us valuable to the APC, to the school, and our opinions matter and they're worthy. And we will welcome all of our parents.
Sylvia is very funny because she is a parent, but she is also a teacher at the core of her being. That said, the other thing is that there are skill sets with people who aren't educators that we now especially really need. Organizing people, fundraising, all the other things I can't even think of because they're not in my wheelhouse, but they're all the things that we need, that diversity. Like the GIS thing, I knew about GIS. I had a friend who was working on it early on, but I was like, oh my, of course, that's perfect. So bring what you got. We'll appreciate it and find a way to use it.
Our APC is unique in that most APCs in Anchorage School District are parents. They're predominantly parents. That's how charter schools are usually founded, is more through parent community efforts and groups. And most of them, right? Most of them are made up, the vast majority are parents, right? So ours is a little unique. I love the balance of our APC. We have educators on our APC, and I think that's really important. And I hope we always have voices like Whitney and Andrew Nels. We have community members, community representatives like Jen Mickelson and folks like that. Gail, like our president, Gail is community seat. And then we have parents on our board like Charlie Palmer, who's here today. And that balance is really nice, that community member, educator, parent balance. And I hope we can always maintain that balance, because it gives me such a broad perspective to draw on instead of a more narrow perspective, on things. When I go to the APC with big picture questions or to get perspective and to get guidance for our school, we have this broad spectrum of perspective and experience and knowledge. And so that is, I just want to echo what you guys are saying. That's super valuable.
So we have about 5 minutes left on our coffee with Principal Mokelke and our founders, Andrew Nell Brown and Whitney Diatri. If there's any last questions that you guys have, go ahead and type them in the chat box. The answer to Kelly Harris's question about what is GIS, there's a link now in the chat box and you can learn more about GIS there.
Kelly, I'm really sorry. I'm trying not to use acronyms all the time, but they just slip out. So yes, I'll let Charlie speak to what it stands for.
All right, sorry, are you guys waiting for me to speak? I was going to put in the chat, but it's Geographic Information Systems, and it basically is digital mapping. And right now, Stream they have applications to do real complex mapping, but the focus is online mapping, which is a little more user-friendly and easy to get kids excited about. So.
Mhm.
Okay, and one last push for Fitness Friday, joining Mr. Mosen at Fitness Friday. Everybody has the link in their Google Classroom. So parents, have your students join us for Fitness Friday. He's also working on a Workout Wednesday. Fairly certain he's trying to kill me. But I will be participating as well on Workout Wednesday and Fitness Friday, and we would love to see parents and students there with us.
So just on that note, we did have one last Friday. It wasn't my best, and we've made tons of improvements since then. And so I don't want anyone like just hanging their hat on what happened last Friday. It's going to be so much better this Friday, just saying. And lots more thought about the warm down and the stretching, and so we don't leave everybody just unable to move. So we'll be good.
Also a push for, we're talking APC the whole hour today, which is awesome. Our APC meeting is tomorrow night at 5:30. We'll be streaming it live over YouTube. We'll have the opportunity to call in, let Mrs. Beyondich know if you want to give any testimony. Encourage you guys to watch, to get involved, to join the APC. Tomorrow night, 5:30.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having us.
So what we've been doing with these meetings is a soft start and a soft end. So the soft end is we officially end the meeting, which I'm going to do here in a sec, and then we stay on for people who want to talk more. And so it works really well on Zoom. We've been doing a soft start to our staff meetings where people have coffee and talk, and then we have a time where officially we start. So I'm going to officially end the meeting by saying thank you so much to our founders, Whitney and Andronell, for coming on and sharing about our program. That was so awesome. Thank you to our APC members who joined us, and staff members. Thank you for being online today. Parents, thank you so much for joining us and being online and asking questions and learning more about the operation of our school. We really appreciate it. So that's my goodbye, and we'll end the meeting, and I'll stay online in case anyone wants to stay on and chat. I'm going to stop the YouTube stream.